everyone. Welcome back for week 3 of Admiration. I don't know how many weeks we'll count it for before we just are in such a rhythm that we'll give up counting. But this week we have looked at Mint Mobile ad in the US for a 55 plus plan, obviously featuring Ryan Reynolds as always. So we look forward to diving into that. For those who haven't joined before, I'm Kim Malcolm and I look after all of the ad solutions that we have here at Zappi. And I'm joined by Isa.
And I'm Isa Franzini, and I'm an insights manager at Zappi.
Excellent. And actually, what's very funny today is neither of us are at home recording that. We're actually together in the office where we have everyone together at a big product offsite looking at how we're going to evolve and change our advertising system so that it better meets customer needs into the future, particularly with AI generation and everything like that, and needs for insights earlier in the process. So super exciting, bit of a change of gear to be recording this, but we're good to go, aren't we?
Yeah.
Excellent. So shall we dive straight in, Isa?
It's 2031, and I finally qualify for Mint 55 Plus, an exclusive plan for people my age. It's just $15 a month, and it came with full service activation. Really? Nothing's changed? We are really slipping in the future, guys. Wow, yeah. Yeah, that'll fool them. Whatever. Still with the green screen? Oh yeah, great.
Excellent. Almost making jokes out of how little's changed. Shall we move forward and have a little look at how it's done?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
So we'll go straight into the overall diagnosis with the sales impact and the brand impact.
Great. So just a reminder for anyone, obviously the sales impact score is a summary that's been validated to outcomes from market mix modeling that shows its likely potential of driving sales in the short term. And brand impact is a score that reflects how well it's going to drive equity and hence sales further into the future. And this looks pretty good, Isa.
Yeah, I mean, it's done amazingly. So we can see that the uplift there in brand consideration is significantly above the norm. And that speaks to how well branded the ad was and how enjoyable it was as well. So we can see the unaided brand recall being significantly above the norm as well. The distinctiveness of the ad, how unique to Mint Mobile it was, with the uniqueness of brand impressions there, also significantly above the norm. General enjoyment then they're coming through as well as quite high. So overall, just a really, really successful ad, but it's not news for Mint. They're kind of used to getting these sorts of scores, and we'll go into that a bit later.
Yeah, it's nice. And I guess it's not surprising, we'll come on to talk about it, but the unaided brand recall, so branding being like so strong with all of those cues that we can clearly see. So excellent. So we'll dive into that in a little bit more detail. What about the messaging? Can we dive into that a little bit more? What do people take out from the ad?
Yeah, we can actually look at the spontaneous message recall. So what people, very much like you said, what people took out as the main message after having seen the ad. And we can look at their exact verbatim as to what they understood the ad to be telling them.
So that looks pretty clear. There's certainly some big words and numbers standing out there.
Yeah, and we can click into them to see what people were saying. So that 55 is pretty big. So has a special plan for ages 55 plus. It's giving people access to phone service over 55 years of age. There's a plan for people above 55 years for a monthly fee of $15. They're all pretty similar in terms of the message that, well, I guess people understood the same message being delivered, which speaks to how clear, concise the message was delivered by Ryan in this specific ad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's interesting because they've almost dramatized the fact that it's for 55 plus, you know, in
Yeah.
how they've shown him. And I guess we do know that of advertising, like when a message is like separate to the creative idea and how it's expressed, obviously it's harder to come through. But in this case, we've got a clear kind of dramatization of the message that they want to deliver. So it's great to see that come through so clearly when people are talking about what they remember.
Yeah, definitely. And Mint mobile ads tend to always talk about their price because it is a massive USP for them. But like you said, there is an element of dramatization and there's a uniqueness to each ad. They're telling a different story in this case. They kind of bigged it up with Ryan being older than we're used to seeing him, really focusing on that point around it being 2031 and the fact that he's now qualifying for this particular plan. So it's really clever.
It's clever and it's simply done, right? I mean, it was a pretty simple ad. If we look at what people liked about the ad, do they like the simplicity or is it too simple? You know, how are people reacting to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we go into the likes, there's so many things that come through as stuff that people really enjoy about it. Like you said, particularly the simplicity, the clarity, just I guess the accessibility of the product as well, and how cheap it is for everyone. But we can expand here. If we go into style, the first thing we see is that simplicity there. So I like that the ad was simple, not overstimulating with sounds and visuals. It clearly got its purpose across while being amusing to watch. People also found that there was humor in that simplicity. So like Ryan Reynolds, the humor is great. The simplicity of the brand and the message is clear and straightforward, and it's funny. Generally, the celeb, I mean, Ryan Reynolds drives a lot of appeal for people. He's mentioned quite a lot of times if we look at characters there. I like that Ryan Reynolds was their spokesman because he seems honest and reputable. This makes me more likely to trust the brand. And I also liked how straightforward it was. So big love for him. And the fact that he is a consistent presence in all of the Mint ads makes a massive impact.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess going back to all of that wonderful stuff you shared on simplicity, sometimes something could be, well, many ads are very complicated, right? But to be simple but still engaging, you know, simple but humorous, simple but clear in its messaging, certainly not dull in any way, I guess is a real achievement here, which I guess we see across quite a lot of their ads as well, which is wonderful. And then there was Ryan Reynolds, who you talked about, everyone responding really well to. Obviously, people really like him, and he certainly hasn't detracted from the message as we've seen. Is he working as a brand asset for Mint Mobile already?
Yeah, for sure. The fact that Mint use him so consistently, and there is an association to Ryan in general as a former shareholder of the company, just really creates that level of tie between the brand and Ryan.
So I guess it's quite an authentic connection with him having been a shareholder. Like he's clearly promoting something he cares about rather than something he's just, you know, disconnected from, which is great. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
definitely. So yeah, when we look at the things people identified in the ad that helped them, I guess, correctly guess that the brand being advertised was Mint Mobile. I mean, Ryan Reynolds, absolutely massive there, alongside the obvious Mint, and that comes across as the Mint logo, the Mint color in the background. But yeah, Ryan is a massive part of it. So Ryan Reynolds in the logo. Ryan Reynolds, all the Mint mobiles that I've seen have him in them, and Mint Mobile was mentioned and displayed on the screen multiple times. So it's clearly having an impact on the audience.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. I mean, I think it was about a third of people who are spontaneously saying that he works as a brand cue when they see him, they think of
Yeah.
Mint Mobile. Of course, there's lots of other things that are also, that they're doing consistently, the colour, the mint green. But I think what's really interesting is we see time and time again that people try and use celebrities as a kind of shortcut to grabbing attention and a shortcut to having an effective ad. Now, the reality is normally a celebrity can certainly grab attention, they can be interesting, they're famous for their own reasons, but it is quite rare for them to work as brand cues because often they're used as a bit of a one-off, they're not used consistently. And it's important to remember that a celebrity isn't a brand asset like a colour would be. However, the way that Mint Mobile are using him has turned him into a brand asset by using him continuously, using him again and again. And I think that's really powerful. I mean, a few data points on that. We probably the key moment in the year when people experience celebrities most is during the Super Bowl. We see like over 2/3 of the ads have celebrities in. And what we tend to see there is that they're often the ones that are more poorly branded because you remember that it was an ad for example, Ryan Reynolds rather than being an ad for the mobile. Obviously here they've brought that together, really, really beautifully to make that really clear. So I guess the learning is use the right celebrity, use them consistently, use them in the right way, use them where they have meaning. Don't assume that you can just use a celebrity and automatically have an effective ad because it won't work like that.
Definitely.
Nice. Well, I think we've raced through this one then. Shall we jump straight forward to the reflection, what people might want to think about? And I guess the biggest reflection we had, right, when we were talking about this was it's really important to consider whether the advertising that you're developing is consistent and familiar enough so that it's instantly recognizable and instantly can drive that kind of salience and sales that come from it. We all know that people don't pay that much attention to advertising. There's a million other things going on. So instantly recognizable is kind of a critical thing. And Isa, when you pulled this together, I found it super interesting because there's so much here that is instant. I almost felt like I was looking at frames from a storyboard for one individual ad. But of course, what we've actually got here is lots of ads over time, right?
Yeah, and I mean, these are 6, but there's so many more. Mint have a very distinctive and clear formula to their ads. Their message stays consistent, but the story they tell in each ad is completely different, which makes each and every one of them really impactful on their own as well.
Nice. That comes back to something I think we were talking about last week around fresh consistency. So the consistency's there, but it's not boring, it's not dull. There is a freshness to it where exactly as you said, a different story told each time. And I guess to end then, the reason that we're asking people to reflect on, whether the advertising is consistent enough is that once you've hit on that magic formula, which they have, this chart's really just showing how that pays off. So if you look in the top right hand corner here, what we're doing is we're looking at an average for all of the Mint mobile ads that we've researched over time, and you can see just how well they're all doing collectively, not just this ad. And all of the other dots represent other telco brands, and you can see that on average other telco brands are not just slightly behind, but really quite far behind. So there was definitely something here to think, have you got the right formula? Can you be consistent? And then that can work really hard for you over time. Well, thank you, Isa. Look forward to joining you next week from the comfort of my own home. Congratulations to Mint Mobile for the wonderful work that they're doing in a consistent but fresh way, with wonderful brand cues and great storytelling and great craft in the stories that are told simply. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.